Hey folks, I'm here with Dan Reichert of Giant Bomb. We're both here in Belgium checking out Baldur's Gate 3. We just got to play, like 5 hours or so of the early access?
Yeah, well, we had the 3 units that were constantly getting overloaded on the power
That's
strip,
true,
and
we
so
did.
it had some downtime in between them, but we got a few hours in for sure.
Yeah, and it's the 1.0 release, so we played what is already in early access, except it was feature complete, at least 1.0 ready,
Sure.
I would say.
Frankly, this was never on my radar. I've never played Baldur's Gate outside of Dark Alliance because I was a console guy. So I played Dark Alliance, being the kind of co-op, more arcadey style one. And so I kind of went in not knowing what to expect here. I had not played any of it in early access. It was not something I was thinking about or on my release radar or anything like that. So this actually was a really interesting experience for me coming in. It seems like a very narrative-heavy game. It's in the D&D universe, which I don't understand anything about Dungeons and Dragons. So I think on paper, this sounds like something that would have not been in my wheelhouse at all. But we played several hours, and frankly, I genuinely enjoyed it. I thought the humor was really good. And that's something I think video games don't do well, is humor. Lots of just weird characters, and the dialogue was solid. I was very impressed by it. It's such a dialogue-heavy game, and I brought up to you at dinner last night how we played a million Bethesda games where the dialogue is just camera wouldn't the raiders came to the camp.
The funny moments in those games aren't the writing, it's the bugs and stuff. Well, this feels funny, and I think a reason why it's funny is because a lot of the funny things happen because of things you've done, decisions you've made.
Maybe I'll see you again. Still wearing the same skin, I hope.
Actually, one of the things we didn't get to play, but we got to see an extended experience of Baldur's Gate itself. The director kind of walked us through Baldur's Gate and showed us a quest where ultimately he got turned into a wheel of cheese and would just roll around cheese farting.
Well, yeah, but that one side thing, it was just it was a genie at a circus, and based on what you do and what class you rolled and things like that, and your perception ability, you could figure out that he's cheating you because he's got a thing in his beard, a jewel in his beard that's causing the wheel to not make you win, and so you can call him out for cheating. You can do it again, and if you win, once he takes the bead out, he gets pissed off and warps you to a dinosaur world, and so you have to stealth your way around these raptors. Or if you do this other thing, he just turns you into a wheel of cheese. And this is all just it felt to me I don't know the greater context of that spot, but it seemed like it was just an NPC at a circus, and you could probably just go right past that. Or there's numerous different really funny things around there. And I was talking about the Bethesda stuff being kind of wooden dialogue. I think we're used to that in games.
Especially games this big.
Exactly, Bethesda style games, which I love, but it's they all kind of look like that. This one, the animation, the facial animation, just the way the characters were moving, the VO itself, the writing, if you're gonna have a lot of dialogue in a game, at least make it, it just looks really good. And the different dialogue options seem great too.
Yeah, it was impressive seeing that dynamic camera cut in between characters and still look somewhat cinematic. Obviously, it's not gonna look like Uncharted, but it feels like there's a lot of polish to it, which is something, because I played 10 hours of early access when it first came out, but I ended up waiting because I was I'm very into this, but I want to see the full thing. And it was very buggy, what I played, as to be expected.
Sure.
And it seems like they've definitely rounded out a lot of those edges. Those rough edges seemed much smoother, I would say.
Oh, outside of the power going out, which was not the game's fault, I didn't notice any real bugs or anything like that, and I was kind of impressed right away with the character creation, where you go in, first of all, you can make all sorts of fun, cosmetic things and everything, but then you're picking your class, your race, your subclass, you're picking these spells that you can kind of use at any time. There's a ton of customization, it seems like you're able to do, and in a game like this, that like in the genie thing, if you were a character with low perception or whatever that stat was, all these things you wouldn't have even seen. So I imagine if you're super into this, first of all, it's going to be a huge game, it seems, for the first playthrough, but it seems like there's ample reason to go through it as different characters as well.
Yeah, that, and then even they have those pre-made characters, but they showed us one, which I think is announced now. They did it at the panel, but it was the Dark Urge, which is the only character that you can kind of customize, but basically this was a character that was a killer, apparently. He thinks he doesn't, or
a serial killer, but doesn't have any memory of it.
But has no memory, so basically you're trying to piece this together while doing the narrative of Baldur's Gate 3, however you want to do that narrative.
How heroic. I was wondering if we'd survive encountering such a fearsome beast.
They added these characters, which they've done before, but in this it seems like there's just like that extra bit of context that'll just make each playthrough feel very unique and different, and that's what you want with a Baldur's Gate RPG Dungeons and Dragons style game. Like there just seems so much there.
Yeah, it's not as far off from like, I always assumed it wasn't in my wheelhouse because it was like the CRPG and I never played that genre basically. But really it is, I mean, it's a big single player, well, you can co-op as well, RPG. And like, I've loved Skyrim, I don't know why, I think I just didn't understand what Baldur's Gate was and I just shut it out in my head like, it's not for me. But playing this, it's like, no, it's just a big RPG. It seems really solid. And the one thing I think I'll have to get used to is having never played like real Dungeons and Dragons, like when you go to do something, it's like, I gotta go unlock this thing. And it's like, you literally see like a dice
roll.
and then like these cards. And like, there's a lot of there's a lot going on. I remember I was intimidated a couple times by like, you go to the party screen and there's just like.
Everyone's inventory at the same time and it is just grids and grids and grids.
It's just this beehive of spells and items and stuff. And I'm like, oh God. Like, so I'm sure, but I'm new to the series and I'm sure if I just spend some time with it, I'll be able to figure that out. So, yeah, it was not something I was going to play, but I really do think that I'm going to give it a shot this time.
Comes out next month on PC, I think August 3rd, and then it comes out the month after on PlayStation 5. They did have PlayStation 5 builds there.
Yep.
I messed around a little bit. I don't know if I'll play on console, but I prefer playing on controller. I could tell just being able to directly control the character, but it seems like they've done a lot of tweaks to the UI to make it more intuitive for a controller too, so.
Radial menus, things like that. Like similar things to like when they brought Diablo 3 to console. And it's like, all right, we're gonna make this really tailored for a controller.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that version plays once we get more time in it, because it is a massive game and it is weird to think that like traditionally Baldur's Gate, like those games have not been on consoles, it's just a very PC focused game. So I'm excited to check that out.
Come. I'm afraid proper thanks must wait.
Anyway, that's our thoughts on Baldur's Gate 3. Be sure to check out the interviews we did at the studio. We talked to a couple of the devs about just the different classes and different races you can choose. But also there's a travelogue going up on Giant Bomb as well that will be less about games. It'll just be...
Just screwing around in Belgium, basically. Yeah. We've been here for just a couple of days. And I feel like we've done a good amount of stuff. So yeah, that'll be up on the travelogue on Giant Bomb soon.
Cool. Anyway, thank you, Dan, and we'll see you all next time.